Website redesigns usually include a lot of different kind of elements. That could be like researching, doing focus groups, UX, all over the place, new design, new brands, maybe new brand guidelines, and so forth. A lot of different elements. But one key one that is usually not considered very much is site search. So what we're here to talk about is rethinking site search during your website redesign. More specifically, we want to talk about like how you can use it prior actually to doing the redesign. So we want to give you 4 elements more specifically to consider. And so I'm going to go through them one by one now. The first one is gaining insights before and not after a redesign. Usually when redesigns happen, you do these different kind of things that we just mentioned before, the UX, the new brand guidelines, the design, focus groups, and that can go a long way. But typically looking at the site search insights is not necessarily one of them. But that is what we are, of course, advocating for, actually looking at one of the best focus groups you have out there. It's using the site search, which usually are people who are unfiltered or using unfilteredly looking for what they're looking for, telling you what they're looking for, really. I want to tell you a quick story, because one of the what would you say, key ways that people gain insights into their how their website is doing is using heat maps. And heat maps are really great for that. So the story that I actually have in mind is before I joined Cluedo. And more concretely, it's about a business who took, what would you say, these 6 key elements, these 4 blocks that they actually made on their new website that they thought were the thing that people were looking for. Or at least that was the things that they wanted to promote as part of this new redesign. But what they actually found with this heat map was that less than 1% of clicks were going to each of these blocks. Less than 1%. And people instead traversed the website, using the navigation, using the search as well. And so they were trying to find the information that they were actually looking for in different ways. They didn't get a great experience. And so that's a key element to kind of think about. And kind of going also to my next point is using this insight to align with visitor expectations. You can actually take the data that you get directly from them and use it to personalize, or not personalize, but to create a structure that is more aligned with what they're looking for. So it's about having this red thread between what they are looking for and providing them an easy way to find that information. And so, once again, using the insights that you gained, hopefully prior to this redesign, to build a solution that caters to those needs. The third one is other websites and domains. Well, why am I saying that? Because typically when you do a redesign, you do consider them, these other subsites, these other campaign websites, these different type of elements or areas that you really have that are not necessarily part of the main website and therefore not part of the main redesign phase. But there's still a lot of key information, a lot of good knowledge that is hidden inside of these different websites. And so how do you consider them? Well, it's a part of second phase or third phase or X number of phase as part of the next redesign plan and so forth. But when you go live with the first redesign, you should consider these other areas and think about how is it that you're actually providing users with the knowledge that lies within these different websites. And so we would, of course, recommend that you actually do some cross-site searching, giving the ability to the user to find the content that is elsewhere. Typically, a redesign also includes removing a lot of content or moving it elsewhere. And so giving them these options of actually finding that content from these other websites maybe making a nice label on like, oh, this is actually going to this other website, but we wanted to just still provide it to you just in case, because it looks like it's more relevant. So it's about like actually making sure that you build a website, of course, with a good fundamental part, but like still making sure that you can actually build on top right away instead of waiting for a second or third phase. And then the last one I want to tell you about is this ongoing redesign. When you do a redesign, typically means just rebuilding the entire website once. But what about actually using or trying to gain insights and rebuild not necessarily the entire website, but just restructuring specific maybe pages or areas based on the insights that you gain from your search, based on what people are telling you that they're looking for. Once again, a very specific story or example could be a website where you type in that you're looking for the phone number, or maybe you don't even type in, but you just go to the contact page, you navigate to it naturally, and you're looking for the phone number. But you go to this contact page, and maybe, by the way, you don't want people to find your phone number, and that's fine, but then you should kind of give other alternatives. The point is that you'll be able to or with some solutions out there, you'll be able to see what search terms are being used on that specific page. And so what you'll see maybe is that on this specific contact page or about us page, people are actually searching for the phone number. And if you see that the top search from that page is the phone number, then that probably means that it's just not clearly stated somewhere on that page. And you might have it on that page, but they can't find it. So you can restructure that page so that it's more clear, or providing other alternatives since they're, in this case, looking for help. So the 4 elements to consider, to kind of summarize this, is gaining insights before doing a redesign and not after. To gain that knowledge and to be able to restructure it immediately instead of doing it in a second or third phase. The second one is kind of going hand in hand with that, is based on that knowledge, aligning it with what the visitors are expecting. And then the third one is consider these other websites, right? Don't just leave them hanging. Think about how you can incorporate them into this redesign phase. And then the fourth one is redesign is not just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing. So use the insights that you have, specifically maybe from specific areas or specific pages, and restructure those pages accordingly. So that was very shortly what we wanted to present to you today. And we want to now go to questions. First things first, I want to thank you all for watching. And I want to make it clear that we are actually looking at doing more webinars next year. This was the last one for this year. And we want to hear much more about what you want to see in this type of webinars. So if you don't necessarily have a question, but you have comments about what you want to see in the future, please let us know. So I also know that there's a bit of a delay between me speaking right now and potentially any questions you might be typing. So are there any questions already coming in, or have there already been some questions? Thank you, Jacob. We will then just thank you for watching so far, and happy holidays when you get to that point, and I'll see you next year. Bye for now.